Well, guys, that wraps up another trading day, another 5% profit, just like yesterday on Tuesday. We didn't really get any big runners, but I was able to nail one breakout. We just got a partial execution. I was a little bit too conservative on it, and then I sold a little bit too early. So it wasn't really, a big winner. And then our second trade, I made a little bit of problems there, but we'll review that one in a second. Leading up to the market open, I couldn't really make up my mind which stock I wanted to be looking at for the market open. At first, the leading gapper was VIVE, but then CETX started looking really good, and I wasn't totally sure which one I wanted to watch. And then I decided to watch CETX for the market open, and I think that might have cost me a bigger green day. Luckily, when I realized that CETX was a bit of a snoozer, or I guess you could say when it wasn't performing, I stopped watching it, and then I went back to VIVE. One thing I also learned today is I need to work a little bit on my bias I'll have towards certain stocks, just like the big run up from GNPX that we totally missed because I was super bearish on GNPX. I mean, finally now it's pulling back, but the big two green days, I just could not get myself to trade it because I was like, it's up on no news. There should be no reason it's running. Maybe it's a short squeeze. I don't know, but I couldn't get myself to trade it, and that cost me a lot of upside. That happened again today with MYO. I just didn't give the stock enough credit. And although the long-term chart looked really, really sketchy, plus it was a recent runner that totally got rejected, so I didn't like the long-term chart, it did break above VWAP with big volume and pulled back. Just like BLPH yesterday, that would have been the one and the time to get aggressive on. It went up another 20% after we looked at it. And I was like, I don't really know if I want to trade it. And I kind of said ahead of time, if it breaks above VWAP with volume, I probably want to get into something like this. I don't know, I just didn't do it. So again, a little disappointed in myself, but it's fine. It's a learning experience, and understanding that sometimes maybe I'm a little overly biased on some of these stocks is a good thing to acknowledge. Sometimes it's really important to think, have you hit that like button? And if you're new here and you want to learn more about trading, investing, and follow me on the $25,000 journey, don't forget to subscribe. All right, there's 4 stocks I want to review, so let's go ahead and check out the chart. I got GNPX pulled up on the chart because I think today might have been that final nail in the coffin for it. If you just check the news here. So GNPX, blah, 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 about the company, announced today it has entered into a securities purchase agreement with institutional investors for the purchase and sale of 5 million shares of common stock. And they're going to be offering that at $3.5 million per share. And that basically gives the company $17.5 million in funds so they can continue their clinical trials, which is great for the company and great for the research, yada, yada. I don't really know what they're doing with that money, but it's really bad for investors. It's basically shares being dumped into the market. And yeah, I mean, you can see today it took a pretty big hit. And I also want to point out this par value at 0.001 cent per share is also really low. That's basically the amount the company is not allowed to issue shares below that price. And usually you'll see something like 10 cents or 1 cent, but not like a tenth of a penny. So that might be a little shady. That might be some future telling that they know they're going to have reverse splits and this is going to go up. Maybe 10-to-1 reverse split will now then put it to a penny. So that's something to consider as well. To me, it seems like there's just one direction that GNPX is going to, or going in for now, and that's probably to the downside. It did have a big crack in momentum today. This was a 24% dip to the downside, and then another dip that was equally as bad, about 23% dip to the downside. I was actually waiting for this to continue its morning panic, but I guess pre-market already had a pretty aggressive panic. So I don't know. I was looking at maybe $3 or $2 for a big reversal bounce over there, but never really happened. I don't know. My paws are off. I mean, long term, this run has been absolutely amazing. Went from 23 cents all the way up to $6. And I missed a lot of that move to the upside because I was extremely bearish on GNPX on these last 2 days. I did not see it going from $3 to $6 in just one day. I think it was a big short squeeze. It didn't even have any news out on that day. So I'm not even really sure the biggest driving factor behind it. So I don't really regret that I missed the move because I still find it and found it extremely risky. And I don't know. I think that it might not be on our watch list tomorrow, but who knows? I feel like it's been kind of creeping around there for a while. And good work everyone out there that got a nice move to the upside and took those profits. So we were watching VIVE and CETX, and there was a while I couldn't really decide which one I wanted to trade. But let's quickly go to CETX right here. Nice move pre-market. We were kind of holding our highs right around 30%, which isn't that big, but it was just really, really slow. So obviously here you can see that it just absolutely sold off. Big selling volume, didn't really get me that excited. And still today, or still at now, it's what, 11, let's quickly go here. What time is it? 11:30. And there's not a lot of dollar volume. So $6.7 million volume, just really not that much interest in this stock. And luckily, when I noticed that not a lot of people were watching it, it's not performing, I also moved on to VIVE. So really kind of good that we didn't, get overly fixated on this one. It did have a catalyst though. I think earnings results, their sales were up. So it did have good news, but it just was not able to hold its highs. It wasn't really able to do much. Again, it was one of these former runners that is kind of bouncing again. I would argue a little bit too soon, and it's near major resistance. So that really kind of put me on edge on it a little bit. Boom. Okay, so the next one, VIVE. This was the lead gapper in the day, and I probably should have gave it a little bit more credit because pre-market, this thing was moving really, really nice, about 60%. It was just that it didn't really hold its highs in this area, and that kind of put me a little bit on edge. Overall, though, 6 million market cap, 3.4 million shares outstanding. I mean, this thing is positioned to absolutely rip. It's already at $50 million volume, so there's a lot of traders on it. What was the catalyst today? I think it was, and it actually looked like there was no news. So I was just reading through here, and it looks like this news desk also did not find any news to justify the sharp move higher. So again, there was no catalyst. And I guess that's the reason to really justify this move. So maybe this was some shorts closing their position and then some day traders jumped on it. But ultimately, there wasn't really something there. But still, it was the lead gapper. So I should have gave it a little bit more credit. And out of the gate, let me just zoom in a little bit here and then go a bit forward. Right here. So we opened up, I missed this because this is when I was looking at CETX, and eventually I came over to VIVE because I was like, CETX is not moving anywhere. Let's see what our lead gapper is doing. And it was somewhere around this area, and I was like, okay, so we're breaking above VWAP. This looks like a good move. I probably would have got in this because we had one big buying volume, one pullback here, but we held really nice at 1.71, and I probably would have wanted to enter somewhere on this candle. So we missed a little bit of a move here, about 8, 9, 10%. I'm not sure where we could have squeezed out of it. I'm not even sure if I would have entered it because it would have been kind of aggressive, but who knows? I mean, that was the first potential move. And then we kind of consolidated in this area. And this is when I got really interested. I was like, okay, we're holding our highs here. Lead gapper, 1.9 under VWAP, big, bull flag forming, ABC pattern maybe. And then, boom, we had that big break to the upside. The ass was getting chipped away and I bought into it. And well, actually I missed the first pop to the upside. So I left my limit order and then there was a quick pullback, but we only got a partial entry or execution. Or fill, I guess you could even say. So I was like, oh man, oh well. Yeah, so this kept on running up to the upside, and then we quickly got out of it. I mean, it was a quick trade. I think we made about 4% on it, which isn't the worst, but we probably could have squeezed out maybe a little bit over the 2. But there was a lot of sellers here on the ask, so I was pretty happy to get out when I did. Yeah, you could see that on the live stream as well, the whole trade in real time. So let's kind of go here forward a little bit. This kind of starts consolidating, pulling back, losing a lot of momentum in this area. And, we had one big dip down, second big dip down, third big dip down. And I was thinking this third one, there's a good chance we're going to pop to the upside. I did think that, this first move was actually a lot of volume because we kind of have a hammer candle here and then the next green candle. This was a 3.5% bounce in just 2 minutes. I was like, okay, that's actually quite a nice bounce, but then it didn't continue. I should have got out of the trade right here at 1.8, and at one point we were down like 3.5%, which is 5% is kind of my max stop loss area. So we almost closed out this position. Luckily it bounced back up and we finally got out for the profits we were looking for. But again, this trade here could have been much better. I should have probably been a little bit more conservative, but ultimately I should have been looking at MYO, because that was the one that really ripped. And you can see VIVE didn't really do much. Try to break higher here and pulled back. So let's talk about MYO and why we should have traded it. Okay, MYO, here we go. You know, pre-market, this thing wasn't doing too much that made me super interested. We had a nice stair stepper, kind of held our highs really nice. I think it had some decent news. Let's see, MYO shares up, deal to process out of network claims. I didn't look too much into that article, but at least there's some network. You know, at least the market thinks that it should be up about 30% pre-market based on that news. And this is the part that's really, really interesting though, $84 million volume. So it really moved its way to the #1 spot. It started off much lower. I think it was under 10 million for quite some time. So it took a while for really momentum start popping up here. You could see, you know, opening bell, try to gap up a little bit or push up about 6%, but then got absolutely rejected. So this would have been a really, really tough one to trade. But coming close to about 945, you could see, you know, volume's really dying down here, and we're holding our highs about that 6.5 area. And this is probably when I should have probably paid a little bit more attention to it. But specifically right here at 6.9, when we broke higher here with big volume and we had a nice 1 minute pullback, this is really when I should have started paying attention to it. And this was a 5 minute breakout as well. So if you have a 5 minute breakout and then a 1 minute pullback, that's a great entry for a big run to the upside, a potential big run to the upside. We had another move here, had a little bit of a double top right here at 7.22. And then again, 2 minute pullback, and then an absolute rip. This thing ran up 20%. I mean, from top to bottom, it was closer to, I think, 25%. Let me quickly check here. Yeah, 26%. So that was a really, really nice move and kind of predictable because big volume came in. It was now the #1 on our watch list of the gappers. So everything kind of was going for it. And I should have really just decided to get aggressive. And I think I said this in the live stream as well. I decided to focus a bit more on VIVE because it was pulling back so nice. And I kind of knew that in a way, there's probably like a guaranteed 3 to 5% if I traded VIVE because it was pulling back so nicely. But MYO, you know, you have a nice breakout here. So there was probably more or less a fairly good risk reward of maybe 10% to the upside. And I don't know, this thing could pull back pretty quickly, but it was holding its highs here. So I would probably argue the risk was probably no more than 2%, 3% maybe. So this would have been the ticket, big volume coming in. Unfortunately, I did not trade it. It was just like BLPH yesterday, where we also broke above here and then had this 1 minute pullback. Actually, we had the 2 minute pullback. So let me quickly show you BLPH. It's so identical almost. I can't believe we didn't trade this. Boom. Yeah, so here we go. Opening bell doesn't really do much. 9:45 kind of finds its bottom. 9:50, 10 o'clock starts reversing, consolidating under VWAP, and then boom, breaks higher above VWAP with volume. 2 minute pullback, breaking out from the 5 minute chart. Everything looking good, and then just a big move to the upside. This was a 26, 28, 29% rally. So almost the same situation as MYO today. And yeah, I think MYO would have really been the ticket. Trading VIVE out of the gate probably would have been a good idea as well. I should have probably been a bit more focused. CETX just did not perform at all, so it was good that we stopped watching it. Overall, I mean, it was a green day. I can't complain. I'm super happy how kind of I traded today, but I think, you know, like I said in yesterday's recap video, getting aggressive when it counts, and BLPH, MYO, as it broke back above VWAP with volume, that would have been the time to get aggressive. So lesson learned for today. All right, guys, thanks for tuning in. If you have not done so already and enjoyed this content, don't forget to leave a like. And if you're new here, definitely consider subscribing. I would love to have you join the channel. Till next time, guys, like always, stay safe and make some awesome trades. Ciao, ciao.